today we are going to discuss two other types of equations, absolute values and square root equations. So let's get started. First, we're going to start with A. We're going to jump around a bit. Notice how A is an absolute value function. An absolute value function means that it has these two lines here. What's very important about absolute values is that there are always two solutions if done correctly. So for instance, if I have the absolute value of something and it equal 2, that means that in here I could have the absolute value of positive 2 is equal to 2, or I can have the absolute value of negative 2. That's equal to 2 because it is about the distance. So when I do my answer, that means that what's on the right-hand side will be positive and negative, so that way I have two solutions. So the way that we are going to do that is that we're going to look inside. But before we look inside, our absolute value needs to be alone. So here are our steps. We are going to make sure that the absolute value is alone. And then we're going to look inside. That is our last strategy. We're going to look inside. So, if you notice in the equation, if you actually look here, our absolute value is not alone. So I'm going to divide by 4. I'm going to divide by 4 because I'm multiplying by 4. So therefore I have 8x minus 2 is equal to 2. Remember, we are looking inside. So if we look, we know that we should have two solutions. So we know that it's going to be 8x minus 2 is equal to positive 2, but also 8x minus 2 can be equal to negative 2 because the absolute value is what turns both positive. I'm going to add 2 on both sides. I get 8x is equal to 4. Next, divide by 8. So my first x value is equal to 1/2. Oh, sorry, I'm running out of space. Next one here, we're going to add 2. 8x is equal to 0. Divide by 8. X is also equal to 0. So we actually have two solutions here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on the calculator so we can graphically see it as well. So if I'm going to do absolute value, I have 4. Math, I'm going to get the absolute value sign, 8x minus 2. And remember, on the other side is when y is equal to 8. So when I graph this one, I'm going to have to change my window. Well, that one wasn't really a great window. Give me one more moment. We have to be patient. But if you can see, although they are very close, they intersect 2 times. They intersect where our answer was. There we go. That's a little better. So notice how they intersect 2 times. So that's why we know we have two solutions. Let's do another absolute value. So the last absolute value I have is here. And hopefully by looking inside, it will give us something. The good news is that absolute value is alone. The absolute value is alone. So that means we're good. But next, for step 2, I want to look inside. Oh, those eyes, they're tripping. Okay? So I want to look inside. And the question I want to ask is, can my absolute value be negative? So can absolute value be negative or equal a negative? Think about it like distance. If you walk backwards, you're still walking the same distance, but the direction is backwards. You didn't walk negative feet. So the actual answer is no, it can't. And so since it can't be negative, this answer, without doing any work, is no solution. Because looking inside, looking inside, we know that our answer cannot be negative because absolute value is always positive. Absolute value is always positive. All right. We have one more example. Notice how our examples build on top of each other. So we can do these a bit quicker because we spent all of that great time in week 19 going over it. We're going to go back to our radicals here. Now, this thing is called a radical. And what I will tell you is there is a way we can undo it, and we practiced this last year. So the steps are we want the radical alone. First, we're going to get it alone. And then after we do that, we're going to square it. Square it means we're going to take the exponent 2. So I'm going to rewrite the equation over here so I can have some room. When you think about this, you want to get rid of terms. Before I try to get this by itself and get rid of the 3, I have another term that's in my way. So I'm going to get that term out of the way first. So now I have 3 square root 4x minus 8 is equal to 6. Now we can get rid of the 3 by dividing it because it was multiplied. Now I have 4x minus 8 is equal to 2. Now if I look inside, essentially what I'm trying to figure out is there a value where if I take the square root, it gives me 2? Well, we know we can undo it by squaring it. So that means that I have 4x plus minus 8 is equal to positive 4 because 2 times 2 is 4. I'm now going to solve for 8. So I have 4x is equal to negative 4. And now I'm going to divide by 4. My x value is equal to negative 1. Next week, we're going to check the solution to see if it's actually true, but that's next week's problem. So let's recap about what we learned today. What we learned today was about absolute value and square root equations. We know that absolute values are always positive. So that means that negative answers are no solution. And we also know that there are 2 solutions. What we know about square roots or radicals. Let's make the sign. So radicals, we know that we can undo it by squaring the square root. Oh, I think that means it's time for me to go to class. So we know that we can do it by squaring the square root. Remember, absolute value has this line here. Well, I hope you all have a great day. If you're at home, please feel free to come to tutoring Mondays at 6 p.m. or you can contact me. Hope you have a great day. Bye.